Alright, in part 2 of the video, we are going to be going over basic Windows installation. You can pretty much ignore everything you see on the screen at the moment. I'm just starting up my VM. You can see here Windows is loading from the disk media. Ignore the flashing, that's just part of the software that I'm using. Now, what we are installing on is what amounts to a new system without any previous operating system installed. So it's basically like if you're replacing a failed hard drive or upgrading to a larger hard drive. Just waiting for it to load. Alright, this is all obviously correct. We're just going to hit next. If you see my mouse being all wonky and going around various locations, we're going to hit install now. That's just because I'm remoting into a remote session. So I've got double remotes going, and it is affecting my quality of input a little bit. Never you mind though, it's not going to affect you at all. Now, normally you are not going to see this screen. I happen to have an install disk that is inclusive of all versions of Windows 7. So normally you're not going to be able to see this portion of the screen, but I'm going to go ahead and click Windows Enterprise N. N just means it has no media pre-installed, no media players or anything regarding media. Obviously accept the license. Press next. Now, we're not doing an upgrade. An upgrade is another process. We're doing a new installation. This is what a new disk will look like. There's really nothing to do here except for hit next. Windows will automatically format in the correct format, will automatically partition. There is nothing else to do. You can also ignore that little warning down there. I know exactly how big to make the disk image, so you can ignore that. Now, this is obviously going to take a long time, so while it's progressing, we're going to skip ahead and show what the installation will look like on a computer with a previous Windows installation. Click next here and install now, just like before. Again, you're usually not going to see this next screen. It's usually going to skip to the one after it. But again, I have a disk that is all-inclusive for Windows 7. So again, I'm just going to select the version I want. Like I said, you more than likely will not see this, as you will only have a disk installing one version. I accept. Next. Again, go to Custom or Advanced. And this is what your hard drive will look like if it has a previous operating installed. You may see a third partition on yours called Recovery. Do not mess with it. The system partition 1 there is reserved specifically for Windows boot. You do not need to mess with it. Partition 2 there is what the previous operating system was installed to. Now, you can go ahead and delete it and create a new one. Usually not necessary. You can just go ahead and format it. Again, Windows gives you no options. It will automatically go in. If you're going to pre-format a disk, you want to choose NTFS. But as you can see there, we have a nice clean, free disk there. And we're going to hit next. Again, this is going to take a good amount of time, depending on the system, anywhere between 30 and maybe 30 minutes to a little bit over an hour. So we are going to skip ahead to when this is done. After that is done, you're going to reboot. This is the first thing you're going to see, starting Windows. This process is also very similar with Windows XP, Vista, and 8 and 8.1. Now, it's going to go through an initial setup where it tests the computer, where it examines all the hardware, installs the initial drivers that it can find. We are going to skip all that and go ahead to the first screen that you see after this performance checkup, which is going to be the user screen, or excuse me, the user naming screen. Now, you can go ahead and put in any username you want, and it is automatically going to fill in the PC name as user-PC name. Now, you can actually change the PC name to any name that you want. There are some naming conventions, but don't worry about it. If you put in a character that is illegal, Windows will tell you, and it's going to cut you off if you type too many letters. So you can go nuts on the PC name. Just try it out. We're going to set a password here. It's just going to be password. Kanatiki says hi. So, moving on to the next section. When my mouse gets there. Now, in Windows 7, Windows 7 is kind of unique. It allows you to skip entering a product key. Actually, a lot of Windows versions will allow you to do this to give you a evaluation time. We're going to skip it for now. Here, it is recommended after you get your cracks installed to use recommended settings. But in the meantime, I believe I selected to ask me later. Now, obviously, I set the time to the correct zone. We're going to pick a home network, as that is usually the most common. Just going to set that up a little bit. Now it's going to ask you to join a home group if it detects any home group on your network. This is outside the scope of this tutorial, and we are simply going to skip it. This is also safe to do if you're unsure what a home group is or what your home group information is. It finalized the settings and is now booting into the first screen. And that is pretty much it. It's pretty much a next operation with just a few entries from the user. In the next video, we are going to go over hacktivating, I'll call it, your Windows. Oh, I'm also skipping forward a little bit here. Preparing your desktop can take a while. And next video, we're going to do hacktivating Windows, and that's it.